Picture this: October 12th, 1977. An American operative made a life-altering choice. Down into Moscow's sewers, they went, a desperate act of survival during the Cold War. 40 days in conditions unimaginable. A tale of speculation and whispered rumors. The operative's identity lost to history, known only by a code name, Marble. The story of Marble begins in silence, not in official records, but in whispers. A KGB document, a routine report, held a clue: CIA codename Marble Arbat District. The American intelligence community remained silent. An absolute silence. Intelligence work leaves traces, witnesses, rumors. The story refused to stay buried. Fragments emerged from eyewitnesses, Soviet news reports, and a sewer discovery. To understand Marble, picture Moscow in 1977, a surveilled city. The Cold War was at its height, and Moscow was under constant watch. The KGB operated with thoroughness and paranoia, making intelligence work difficult. Imagine the tension, the constant fear of exposure. The stakes were incredibly high. Every shadow seemed to hold a threat, every conversation a potential trap. The city was a maze of secrets, and Marble was lost within it. Their mission, whatever it was, had gone wrong. Now, it was about survival. The sewers became their refuge, a dark and dangerous world beneath the city. Days turned into weeks, the operative adapting to the harsh conditions. The silence above was deafening the world, unaware of their struggle. But even in the darkness, hope flickered, a determination to survive. The story of Marble is a testament to human resilience in the face of adversity. A legend whispered in intelligence circles, a ghost in the machine. The truth may never be fully known, but the story of Marble lives on. A reminder that even in the darkest corners, stories of courage can emerge. So picture this: the Cold War Moscow and an operative named Marble. Their story a testament to survival against all odds. Imagine Moscow residents witnessing unexplainable events. Soviet news hinted at unusual security measures in 1977. Years later, a sewer discovery reignited an urban legend. To understand, picture Moscow in 1977. The Cold War's height, Moscow was heavily surveilled. The KGB operated with paranoia, a cat-and-mouse game. Every foreigner was a potential spy until proven innocent. Even then, they were always being watched. Americans in Moscow lived under constant surveillance. Apartments were bugged, phone lines were tapped. Even innocent conversations could be monitored. For a CIA operative, error margin was almost non-existent. One mistake could lead to being identified and apprehended. Consequences varied, but they were never good. At best, expulsion in a public diplomatic incident. At worst, disappearing into the Soviet prison system, or simply vanishing, fate left to speculation. October 12th, 1977. A Wednesday. Overcast and cool, 8 degrees Celsius. Grey, damp autumn day, people hurrying along. Something unusual happened in the Arbat district. Routine surveillance turned dramatic, remembered in hushed tones. Residents saw a man running near Old Arbat. The chase played out across several blocks. He moved with purpose, weaving through pedestrians. 3 or 4 men coordinated their movements. Picture this: years after the Soviet Union's fall, a man sprints near the Old Arbat. The chase unfolded across blocks, the pursued moving with purpose. 3 or 4 men coordinated the pursuit, signaling official involvement. Their professional, methodical movements suggested they were officials. Imagine a woman shopping for bread, witnessing the chase in 1994. The man passed, closed his face, set in concentration, not fear. He glanced back, calculated, and ducked into an alley towards older buildings. The pursuers followed, moving fast but trying not to cause alarm. To most, they looked like men in a hurry, late for an appointment. But some noticed the coordination, understood something significant was unfolding. The woman followed, drawn by the impulse to look at accidents. What she witnessed next was something she'd never forgotten. The man stopped at a storm drain grate on a quieter side street. She watched him crouch and pull open the metal grating. Without hesitation, he lowered himself into the darkness below. The woman froze, not understanding what she had just witnessed. The pursuers rounded the corner, aware they were close to losing their target. They reached the spot, noticing the displaced grate. They gathered around the opening, peering down into it. A heated conversation ensued, voices too low to hear. After a moment, one of them climbed down into the drain. Imagine the darkness, the unknown depths below the London streets. The woman watched, her heart pounding as the scene unfolded. The chase had taken an unexpected turn into the city's underbelly. Picture this: a man with a moment's hesitation disappears into the darkness below. A woman watches frozen as the pursuers arrive, their urgency palpable. The pursuers gather, peering into the opening, their voices hushed and intense. One descends into the darkness while the others watch, guarding the area. The woman, having seen enough, turns and walks away, disappearing into the street. Her story is supported by other witnesses, each with a slightly different view. An elderly man walking his dog noticed the tail end of the chase. A young university student saw the entire sequence from another angle. Though descriptions varied, they agreed someone was chased and escaped into the sewers. In 1977, involving yourself in state matters was a risky proposition. The storm drain led to an extensive sewer system beneath London. A network of tunnels stretching for kilometers, some dating back centuries. Navigating it without knowledge would be nearly impossible. Dark, cold, filled with the sound of running water and dripping condensation. Air quality ranged from unpleasant to dangerous, depending on the location. In October, the system would have been particularly inhospitable. What happened next played out hidden from public view. But signs were visible to anyone who knew what to look for. Residents noticed unusual activity around the city's infrastructure. Utility workers were seen opening manholes and shining lights into the darkness. Vehicles marked with city maintenance logos were parked for hours. Men in coveralls came and went, their purpose unclear. The activity wasn't constant, yet it was undeniably present. Picture this: an inhospitable environment where secrets unfold. The events that followed were largely hidden from public view. After October 12th, unusual activity began near the underground. Men dressed as utility workers opened manholes. They shined lights down into the darkness below. Vehicles with city logos parked for hours at a time. Men in coveralls came and went, following a pattern. The activity was persistent. They were searching. Soviet news made no mention of a manhunt in the sewers. The KGB didn't announce their operations, especially not the pursuit of foreign operatives. Subtle mentions in the press took on new meaning. Emergency maintenance would occur over the coming weeks. City officials conducted safety inspections. Concerns arose about structural integrity. The articles were cover stories for something else. Residents recalled constant maintenance workers. Vehicles parked, men going down into the manholes. Nothing ever seemed to get fixed. The activity continued. A priority operation in the Central District. Crews were pulled to assist with something secret. The operative had to evade an active search. The KGB approached this methodically. They knew he'd eventually have to come up. The search focused on mapping the exits. Imagine a person evading not just surveillance but a systematic search. The authorities would have approached this methodically, mapping exits. They knew someone was down there and would eventually have to come up. The search focused on mapping exits, monitoring access section by section. They used diagrams, workers, even dogs to track in the difficult environment. Surviving those first few days meant staying ahead of the search, finding places to hide when flashlight beams swept through the tunnels. The physical challenges were immense. Water was the first priority. Finding drinkable water in a sewer system is paradoxically one of the hardest tasks. The water flowing through the channels is contaminated and dangerous. Moscow's underground included access to the city's freshwater infrastructure. If they knew the layout, they might have found those access points. Condensation on walls could be collected, though minimal and time-consuming. Every decision about when and how much to drink had to be weighed. Food is even more complicated. There's no food unless you bring it. The likelihood of having more than minimal supplies was slim. This was an operative running, not embarking on a planned expedition. Emergency rations would have been gone within the first week. It would have been a matter of enduring hunger, the body consuming itself. The human body can survive for weeks without food as long as it has water. But the physical deterioration is profound. Strength fades, reaction time slows. Every day without food makes the next day harder and the next decision more difficult. The cold would have been relentless. Temperatures near freezing. Damp cold is far more dangerous because it leaches body heat faster. Without proper clothing, hypothermia becomes a very real threat. They needed to keep moving to generate body heat, but movement burns calories. Imagine each day without food, a heavier burden, a harder choice. The cold, relentless. October's chill seeps into the very bones. Damp cold, a far more dangerous foe, steals warmth faster. Hypothermia looms a constant threat in this underground maze. Movement burns precious calories, an impossible equation indeed. A balancing act, warmth against energy, survival against despair. The psychological battle perhaps more daunting than the cold. Days bleed into weeks, darkness consumes, time loses meaning. Isolation, sensory deprivation, fear gnaws at the mind. These conditions break even the strongest of wills, they say. Strategies for survival: routine, focus, manageable segments. Prolonged isolation pushes the mind to its breaking point. He fights against despair, against the lure of surrender. October fades into November. The search continues relentless. Activity underground persists, though perhaps less intense. The authorities face a problem. A vast, complex sewer system. One person hidden well can evade even the most determined search. Tunnels connect unmapped sections, access to other systems. A dark, flooded maze stretching beneath the city. Searches cannot continue indefinitely. Resources are finite. The calculation shifts likelihood versus expenditure. Survive long enough, stay hidden, and the search will scale back. Guards remain, surveillance continues, but the hunt subsides. A waiting game begins. Hunter or hunted? Who breaks first? The calculation shifted. Finding them didn't justify the cost. Marble needed to survive, to stay hidden. The active search would be scaled back eventually. Guards at exits, passive surveillance would remain. The hunt became a waiting game. Who would break first? Hunter or Hunted, November 21st, 1977. Something changed. Maintenance vehicles and crews suddenly vanished. The manholes were sealed, undisturbed. An order was given, the operation wound down overnight. One day, workers the next, nothing normal again. Why the search stopped, we can only speculate. Perhaps they died underground after 40 days. Political considerations or higher priorities, pressure to end an operation with no results. Or did they know something never made public? Without access to the files, we can only guess. What happened next is even more speculative. Reports of a figure near the Mosva River. The sewer system empties into the river. Someone emerging from a drainage outlet late one night. Moving quickly, disappearing into the darkened streets. Descriptions of vague memories unreliable. Someone came out of the drainage system. Marble vanishes from any record entirely. No apprehension, no incident, no body. Picture this: a shadowy figure emerges late one night. They vanished into the darkened streets, unseen, unheard. Descriptions are vague, memories fade, but some details endure. Someone emerged from the drainage system near the river. Whoever it was, they didn't want to be seen, to be remembered. After that night, the operative known as Marble vanishes. No apprehension, no incident, no body was ever found. The KGB file has no follow-up, no notation, just silence. American intelligence offers no comment, neither confirming nor denying. Marble becomes a ghost, a story between history and rumor. In 1993, a discovery added a new layer to the mystery. Routine maintenance in Moscow's sewer system revealed a secret. A waterproof pouch wedged into a crevice hidden from the world. Inside, several pages of paper partially protected from time. The pages were turned over, revealing secrets after the Cold War. Details filtered out to researchers, journalists, seekers of truth. The pages were nearly illegible, damaged by water and time. Fragments remained isolated words in English clues from the past. One page showed day, another W, a third TRN. Their significance lies not in what they said, but what they suggested. Someone had been in that sewer, writing in English, documenting something. Preserving it in a waterproof pouch, a desperate act of secrecy. The location matched where Marble had been seen entering the drain. The paper's age aligned with the late 1970s. It transforms rumor into something that might actually have happened. Russian authorities, for their part, kept the findings quiet. Picture this: a hidden document found within the city's sewer system. Someone felt compelled to document something, preserving it carefully. The pouch's discovery aligned with the area where Marble entered the drain. Forensic analysis placed the document's age to the late 1970s. Authorities acknowledged the discovery but offered no interpretation. The pages were photographed, catalogued, and filed away in some archive. American intelligence officials declined to comment, maintaining silence. The pages themselves have never been made fully public. Researchers viewed them briefly amidst debate about their significance. What happened to Marble after Moscow? A question without answer. Perhaps they were moved through exfiltration routes to the Baltic states. Debriefed, given a new identity, relocated far from intelligence work. But there are darker possibilities. Perhaps they couldn't reach extraction. The toll of 40 days underground left them too weak to escape. Caught in the search, arrested and disappeared into the prison system. Or perhaps they simply died, their body never found beneath the city. The absence of acknowledgement is perhaps the most telling aspect. The agency never confirmed the operative existed, never provided context. Someone went into the sewer system and could have survived 40 days, evading one of the most powerful security services in history, outlasting a systematic search of a challenging urban environment. After 40 days, did they make it out? Or disappear completely? 40+ years later, we still don't know for certain what their fate was.